We'll have an agenda where we'll approve a payroll manifest. We will have a DPW report. We will hear from Dinah on some things she'd like us to sign. And we'll do commissioners' reports after that. And we'll have public comments. Motion to approve that agenda,
Second?
as stated. Any discussion?
Aye.
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 3-0 on the agenda. So the payroll manifest. We managed to get QuickBooks to give us a payroll manifest, and we have a gross pay this week to pay the 4 employees, a gross pay of $9,353.86, and a net pay of $7,566.62. Do I hear a motion to approve this manifest? Hey, I'll show you the time cards we're paying Caitlin for 2 weeks at 40 hours.
Okay.
There was a snowstorm, and the first of the 2 weeks, ending with the 8th, Jeff had 40 hours, and the week ending the 15th, he had 50,
4.5.
and Tony's, the first week was 30 and a half, and his second week totaled 38.75 hours, and Kelly Robitaille had 80 hours.
Is that 33.5?
It's this
Oh,
number.
38.75,
Yeah.
okay, gotcha. Okay,
So motion's on the floor, second to approve it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, discussion.
Oh, discussion.
Just a quick question. Are we able to go back to direct deposit, or are people getting paper checks?
Not clear yet. It's looking like it might be paper checks. And I'll discuss that in non-public session about the computer systems in the bank.
Okay.
So we can move on to the highway report. Jeff,
Good morning.
good morning.
So, the contractor on Afton Vale Way that's got the foundation there, that had the concrete truck come in a couple of weeks back when it was soft, he stopped me this morning and was asking about getting another truck in there at the end of this week. They want to put the walls up. With the road firmed up, I mean, I told him I would talk with you guys before I made any decisions and get back to him. It's looking pretty firm, like today and in the next couple days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which he's hoping to get the forms put up tomorrow, I believe, so we'd have to bring the form truck in, and then they were looking to pour Thursday to Friday morning, which looks like it's gonna be pretty solid. So I don't know if you guys want to give a little grant permission for him to do that, or...
Do you know what the weight of the trucks are, the
Well,
form truck and then the concrete?
The form trucks, probably like, our international type of thing, maybe a little bit more, and then the concrete trucks and the pump truck, I mean, they're one of the heaviest things out there, but,
The forecast has it
Pretty
around
cold.
freezing in the morning.
well, that's what,
Cold
17
overnight.
Thursday night,
In the afternoons, it could reach 40.
right, so they'd have to kind of have a good morning pour and get out of there, which, those guys work pretty quickly, you know what I mean, they're in and out when they pour concrete. So I like I said, I didn't want to give them any yes or no's.
I'd leave it to your call,
Okay.
because it's not like we're in warm weather. It's going to start off in the morning soft.
Right. So, okay.
And if his stonework, if he agreed to put smaller stone in,
He did agree to fixing up that road with some gravel as
That's
well.
even better.
No, he's a good kid and he's willing to work. So, he put the road in the best he could do at the time with that stone. Tony and I spoke about even you know, when we can't get the grader and piling that snow up into a pile, like we would ditch it, you know what I mean, try to pull it into the windrow it and call it out, and get it off the road as best we can, get most of it before we laid the gravel over it. So we've got a plan on cleaning that up as soon as Mother Nature allows us and we can get the grader out on the roads. But he also agreed to put some gravel over that spot.
Good.
So.
Who's the
okay.
contractor working on that,
It's Vino's.
Vino's?
Yeah. So I'll speak with him again, then we'll make sure it's a morning type of thing and figure that one out. The 2019 Ram went in for that drag link, the front end work that it needed, in the steering and all that. And while it was in there, they noticed, this was an elderly service, that the springs in the front end were worn right out. That's why that, well, a couple of reasons it's been low to the ground like that. So they put some heavier duty springs in the front end of that, which that truck needed right from the start. It should have been beefed up even then. So that's a lot better now. We've been cutting not a lot, but we've been cutting some dead, dangerous trees that we've been finding up on the sides of the roads, and some dangerous limbs, and filling the potholes, obviously, with the stone. You guys have been seeing, I may need to get another load of stone next week or something. We'll play out how Mother Nature is. And patch, we're getting a load of patch right now from Burke. We drove the truck over to get some patch, just a ton. It's $150 for a ton of and it's good stuff. The bag stuff, we paid, I didn't realize it cost as much as it did. The last time I got like 10 bags of that stuff, and it doesn't go as far as what we're getting now, so we're gonna patch some potholes on Idolize Drive. And, you know, like I said, it's a lot cheaper this way. And that's about all I got this week.
We got a call from a lady that's new owner in Idlewild, and she was asking about parking at Hotwell, and she wants to put a storage trailer of some size, and it sounds like she wanted it there for an extended period. I told her, she was asking over the phone if she needed permission to park there. I told her that our regs are, you get to park there for 30 days, and then after that you need approval. And she said, well, can I just move it to another spot and start the 30 days over? It's kind of like, well, welcome to Idlewild. So I just wanted to ask you your observations over time about that parking lot, the way the ordinance operates. I've been just noticing a handful, 4 or 5 snowmobile trailers that seem to be there all the time.
Yeah, they've been there most of the winter.
The Doritos truck moves in and out, so that's not a problem. It's a big
Right.
unit, but
Yeah.
he's good about not leaving it there.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen any problems with the way the ordinance is?
No, it doesn't really affect us in any way. I mean,
That's-
plowing obviously in the wintertime and all, we're coming out of that, so again, the way we've got it, they don't go on that end of it and they stay on the mailbox end of it. And they gotta, like I said, they gotta realize they gotta shovel themselves out, That's on, you know, I can only move the snow as best as I can move it. I can't, you know, get all of it.
I haven't heard anybody talk about any issues with the way the parking lot is working. No one's ever complained that they feel like they should be able to park there and somebody has been taking spaces like they own them for too long.
Yeah, I've not seen anybody like staying there for any lengthy period of time. Like that builder who had his modular homes on there, that was what was it, about a week, and then he was gone.
I was gonna say, I think as long as people are honest and upfront and they, you know, they ask what they can do and stuff like that, I mean, and then, you know, you go from there. You know,
So everyone's impression is the same as mine, is that there's
Yeah.
no issues with the way it's operating. Good.
No, I just think we just need to be observant that nobody's taking advantage of, especially larger type trailers, vehicles, whatever, for an extended period of time.
Right.
Beyond
Right.
what is allowed.
Yeah, we did speak with a homeowner that called the office last week on Interlaken Circle. about a lot of water in their yard getting into their house, and they had to pump it out, and they had talked to the neighbor, and they were pumping it into the neighbors who's got a culvert, and they were asking us like what they can do, and it's not a road or the district issue. The house sits real low and it pools up in
I know
that
that
spot.
house.
Yeah, their new owner's super nice, and I would think that they had a culvert installed down into their driveway, like towards the house already, but there was a couple different contractors, I guess, that did the site work.
It's just a collecting pool.
Yeah, and what I told them is that they're gonna have, I mean, again, it's nothing to do with us, and it's not, my suggestion is, being someone with some common sense, I think they're gonna need to put one in over there, and then it would drain and cross into the neighbor, which has the pipe across their driveway, which would drain down the road into the one across.
There's a big wetlands.
Yeah, into the wetlands,
If
yeah,
you're
that
facing
would
the house
cross
to
our
the right
road.
of it, yeah.
So he was understanding, and we gave him a name of a contractor, and so I know that they had called the office about that, and I spoke with them, but like I said, other than, not our, like I said, that's on them, and
That's
the
a
end of the
fairly
drive.
new build within the past 5 years or so.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
just-
not
that was
even,
just
I don't think. would-
Poorly planned out by whoever the buyer, whoever the builder.
Well, the contract, yeah. Yeah.
Because
but,
I've seen where water's actually gone above, into that the first floor basement
Oh,
door.
yeah, you see a couple subs on the siding there, I know it.
Within the last 2 weeks, it happened again.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, and it's more, and it's gonna keep happening as it melts. It's all, water runs downhill. I didn't build it that, I mean, I didn't make Mother Nature do that,
Oh, yeah, and in the summertime, it's sort of like West Nile Pond 2.
Right.
It's awful.
But,
I was, I talked to Jeff yesterday about, I got a message over the weekend from Presidential View Drive, which is at the top of Oak Ridge Road. It's the one that goes off to the left and
Yeah.
brings you another way into Closet.
Yep.
There's a new house at the very end of it towards the east, but there's been a house that's been there for a long time. It's a redwood structure, it's an odd-shaped house, it sits high up in the hill. He was complaining about the road being muddy in front of his house. And he also said there was a sinkhole. So I thought, I didn't want to have Jeff to have to come out on a Sunday to see this. I took a ride up there to see if there was a sinkhole, because I thought that might be a dangerous situation. I didn't see a sinkhole, I took a picture. It was the way that road doesn't drain at this time of year, and it's soft. My conclusion was, it's mud season. And he had asked in his original message to me whether this could be paved. I didn't answer that question. I think that he has to make his campaign if he thinks that road's gonna get paved before lots of other roads like Idlewild Drive, for example, and us dealing with Grissom Road and things like that. So my response to him after I went up, I sent him the picture and said, it's mud season in the White Mountains. We have a lot of roads. And his response to me just saying it's mud season in the White Mountains was, there's a lot of other pieces of the road around his house that are like that also. Well, there's another section of it that's got the same thing, but that road has been doing that. As Jeff was pointing out, that road is built a short way above ledge because it's the top of the mountain. So it's not like it's got a 4-foot base of gravel for it to drain down, even if it could, because it's still frozen. But we are not going to be able to pave everybody's road if they see that they don't want mud in their shoes if they want to go for a walk out of their house. It's like,
No.
yeah, I took a look at that again yesterday as well, and that road's been on the list for ditching for a while, which would help a little bit. But like you say, you can only ditch it so much with the ledge, and that road's real, as you could tell, skimped the gravel. I mean, it's like there's parts of that road look like bass beds. The rocks are sticking out so badly, but that's definitely, like I said, on the list for ditching and gravel.
the downhill side of the road across from this house has a windrow that kind of looks like over the years the gravel has piled up and doesn't
Yeah.
let the water off the other side of the road. So I don't know if we could make some cuts into that to let water off the other side of the road.
Yeah, we'll
I
pull
don't
that
think
in
it
and
solves the
get rid
problem
of
on
it.
the inside
and get
without
it-
putting culvert in.
Yeah,
I don't know
there's
if
a
you
pipe
put-
over there.
Right, you were talking about a culvert a little further.
Yeah, it goes just beyond his house, and then it goes on a diagonal back up the road towards Oak, and it's a long pipe. We'll make sure that that's, you know, working. I'm sure, I know it's working, but it's not 100% clogged. We'll check that out. But yeah, over the years, the gravel gets pushed off that, you know, the ditch inside there, and it all kind of piles up and gets built up, and it's like a berm.
Yeah.
And all that's got to get shaved off, so the water, you know, that would tip like a little bit and then shed that way, rather than have it crowned up, because you don't want it crowned up going over onto the ledge end side, his end of it, you know, have it tipped so it all runs downhill.
To get another culvert in there, which we'd have to find out where the property line is across the road before we could put new drainage into somebody's lot.
Right,
They would also require that road to get raised.
right, because you don't know how far we're going to be able to dig with the ledge and all that,
Right.
so.
So we'll make some improvements
Yeah,
after
that's
things
definitely
thaw.
on the list.
Shave off that berm maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is this a matter of just educating not only current homeowners, but prospective or new homeowners, that the roads in Idlewise, by and large, are dirt roads except for the steep incline roads? Those are the ones that have to get paved for safety and plowing purposes.
Yeah.
And also, is it true that, with the exception of Idlewise Drive, all these other roads are considered Class 6 roads, or?
No,
No?
Class 6 roads we don't maintain at all.
Okay,
Right.
then what would, okay, but
The section of Thusis that you walk on, that's an example.
that's a
of
Class 6, okay, okay.
They're all Class 5.
Class 5.
Right.
That's what I meant to say. Okay, but that doesn't mean that they have to be paved. It just means
No.
our existing policy. I don't know if it's written anymore. It's just it's only the steep inclines. You know, Oak Ridge.
Right.
You know, St. Moritz on that up in
Right.
Aspen, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said you didn't know how to answer this guy. Can you pave the road? But he doesn't sound like he's on a hill part.
Well, the answer really is, we have no plans of paving that road.
Right.
We need an extensive budget to do that, and he has the right to ask for it to be paved, as does everybody else that's on a gravel road anywhere. And he can go through the political process of getting the annual meeting to vote on a petition warrant article. But my answer is, I don't think it's gonna get paved in my lifetime.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
It's not on the priority list
No.
as far as the commissioners are looking to ask the voters to invest in.
Right.
And I look for roads that serve a greater number of people. That road isn't made, that's not a single access to anywhere. It does let people get to Clausen, but there's another way to get to Clausen on a paved road above it, Oak Ridge Road.
Right.
Get you to almost the same point. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna pave all the gravel roads in Idlewise, I mean, it's gonna cost big
No, no.
bucks.
Taxpayers aren't going to stand for that. No.
Now you're looking at a state budget.
it's not only just asphalt, you gotta put the road bed in correctly before you do it. or else
Right.
the pavement doesn't last long.
Yeah.
And that would require a lot of
A lot of work that's
Lot
out
of
of
work
our
up there.
realm of,
A lot of 6-inch
Possibility.
stone to raise the road, and then put 4 inches of gravel and put the bed and drainage in and then pave it. Lots of money,
yeah.
not in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But no, that'll get straightened out. Like I said, it's on the list for getting some ditching done and some gravel over the top of it, which will help.
So when you say ditching, is that what it means? Like you actually dig a ditch and then fill it in?
Yeah, the
So-
grader pulls the materials that build up in the ditch over time to give the water a place to go. So we pull that into the center of the road, we pick it up and haul it off, then we reshape the road, recrown it, and then gravel over the top of that and recreate the road. So now the water runs off the road into the ditch lines, follows the ditch to the culvert pipes, and takes it where it's supposed to go, downhill into the ponds,
Okay.
or woods.
Whenever you undertake that project, I'd love it if you just let me know, because I'd like to see that
Right,
process.
yeah, no, and there's a lot of roads gonna get ditched this year, you know, we've got a lot of ditching to do, so you could,
Okay.
you'll be an expert on ditching by the midsummer.
I won't be an expert, but I will be
You'll-
more
you'll-
knowledgeable.
You'll be more knowledgeable to talk about it and understand the
If
process.
I'm an expert, I'm going to be able to do the work. And
Right, well,
you don't want me doing that.
Can I
right,
ask a question?
absolutely.
Don't you usually, after you ditch and put everything in the middle,
Don't you use that to crown the road?
Most of that material gets picked up from the ditch because it's leaves and the sand that gets plowed off and all the fines that come off out of the gravel. So that stuff gets hauled off, and that's usually what's
That's
the
what you
fill.
see piled up and burned.
Right, that's
what
the
comes
fill
out of the ditches.
that we end up gathering
Sometimes I thought you said.
for people.
I thought I saw you using them.
Now, in some cases, I mean, what's left and the material gets shaped up into
Okay.
what the road's gonna look like, and then the gravel goes over that, and then that shape, that follows the shape.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I'm all set.
Thank you.
All right,
Good job.
Thank you, Jeff.
thank you. Like I said, enjoy the afternoon.
You too.
I still think there's gonna be one more big snowstorm before
Oh,
we're through with this
what?
winter.
Oh, I don't doubt it, I mean, we've had them in April, so
Yeah,
We have.
yep.
we'll see what Saturday brings. Thanks.
Okay, do you want to talk about your
Yeah, mine's short and sweet.
request?
I don't mind you coming in here.
Nope.
This is the signature card for our new Northway account, because we wanted to change everything. So, pass that down, that's actually all you have to sign. Now, they've given me applications for internet banking. Do we wanna do that yet? Or do you wanna talk about it later?
We do internet banking just to look at balances. We don't actually do any transactions with Northway, correct?
Correct. I just assume waiting. I don't know, it's up here.
What do you think, Nancy?
Probably wait for right now until we know we have everything secured.
I agree.
Okay.
If you're not in a hurry.
I think we need to be confident that we
Yeah,
are,
yeah, and I don't
We
have
are.
that confidence yet.
we are, as best can be, hacked proof.
Do we need a debit card for this? Are we waiting on that too?
Did we have one before?
Yeah. However, we don't use, they didn't use it as much as they did the
The bank.
other bank, cause it's the
Because this is
water.
for the water system?
That's the water
Monies?
assessment
Okay.
account. We can wait on that too, I think. Use it as much. Okay, so Aiken, New Hampshire's all set to go. We have new checks and I ordered new deposit slips. For this account, we need to talk to Francine
Mhm.
to get new checks for this one. And I'll order deposit slips and we'll be back in business. Okay.
Thank you.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
So we can move to commissioners' reports. I could start off. We aren't approving minutes. I have notes, I have draft minutes for quite a few meetings that we've had. That they're just meetings at the office to get through this cybersecurity issue. Next week I'll have them sent to you, I'll send them to you in advance. It will approve minutes back to where we dropped off at the beginning of this. And over the weekend, Nancy came in on Saturday from 10 to 1. And we just got herself familiar with QuickBooks again so we could do this manifest. She hadn't seen QuickBooks since 2019,
Yep.
so that was good. And then she came in yesterday from 10 to 1 again, I guess.
Yeah.
And we managed to get the QuickBooks manifest so that we could approve the payroll. We looked for the manifest report that we usually get, and it wasn't obvious to us where that was. We looked at the old manifest that we got earlier in the month, and there was nothing apparent out of QuickBooks that would give us that, so we have to find out how to do that. On Saturday after Nancy left, Andrew Hardevelt came in at 2 o'clock. So that wasn't a commissioners meeting, because I was there by myself
Right,
as a
right.
commissioner. And he worked there until 5, and we went through various things. One of the things that we discovered is that we couldn't use email. The online email wasn't showing us that we could receive email. What in fact was happening was the online version of Outlook was changed so that email coming into us through Outlook Online was being redirected into another folder of Outlook Online. And
Of what online?
Outlook, Microsoft Outlook
Yes.
Online. The desktop version is not working on the system. None of the Office products on the system are working until we can figure out how to get Microsoft to activate the licenses for it. Microsoft allowed us to download and put them back on the system that has been completely wiped and reloaded with the new version, the image of the operating system. So we have the online version working where we can send email, but we weren't seeing email coming in. A rule had changed in the online version that was redirecting it to a folder that you wouldn't expect it to have the incoming email. So we fixed that on Saturday afternoon, and we decided that we needed to start a service ticket with Microsoft about why their website wasn't activating the products that are loaded on it so we could use all of them, including the desktop version. Uwa, a woman from tech support in Microsoft, called, and she saw my online request for service and said that she thinks it's the firewall in our office that is stopping the activation from happening. So I'm working with Andrew, who is remote to Idlewice right now, about testing whether we can get the firewall, see if the firewall is the problem. So this is baby steps, and I'll be able to tell you a few more things about it. I think publicly we can say about the banking transaction that happened that we also need to pursue, which was the original notification of a problem with cybersecurity was our bank told us that a transfer of $14,500.67 was made to a woman in Dallas, Texas. And they asked us if we did that transaction, and we said no. And that's when we started to shut everything down because we don't know how that transaction actually happened. And the issue is that the bank gives us this thing called a fob. And a fob is the device that you see on people's key rings that will set your car alarm and open the doors and blah, blah, blah. It's, it's usually a device that's plastic about this big. Well, the bank gave us a fob that has a Symantec label on it. And you push this button and it generates this number on the little display on this thing that you have 30 seconds to enter that number into a banking transaction. And it goes with the transaction. And the bank on the other end has the serial number of the device that you have physically in your office that doesn't travel over the internet itself. The number is generated without any network communication with the bank. The bank knows the algorithm that this fob uses to generate that number and matches the number you gave it to what they would expect the number to be and say, this has been verified that this is a transaction that's supposed to happen that never went on the internet other than we asked them to put the number on the internet with the transaction. They validate it at the other end. How did this transaction happen without our administrator using the fob number, which is used every time we do a transaction? So I'm meeting with the bank this afternoon to ask that and a couple more questions. So in the effort to be transparent, until we had something in writing from the bank, which was on the form that I had to ask, how do we get the process going for you to reimburse us for this bad transaction that happened? It made it onto the form. That's why I feel like we can say with the numbers that we'll try to say as much as we can as we pursue these things without damaging anybody's reputation.
So it may have been a weakness in the bank's protocols that led
That's
to this.
my question is, have they seen this happen before where your client didn't use the fraud because they didn't do the transaction? Isn't this supposed to stop? How did you actually let this woman in Dallas, Texas, take the money out of a bank account? And what's happening at that end? It was a Wells Fargo bank in Dallas, I believe, that the transaction went through. Our logs were showing people were trying to log into our system from using internet addresses in Dallas and in New Jersey and in Iowa and in
But the reality is they could have been anywhere just using.
they could be
Right.
in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
Right.
using IP addresses in these just to hide where they are, move around.
More like Uzbekistan.
So those things we can't waste any time thinking about. We have to focus on getting the system back where we can start to operate the office again before the new woman starts in 2 weeks.
On or about April 1st. That
Okay.
was one thing I was going to discuss in my commissioner report.
Okay. So that's my report. We'll be going into a non-public session on the 91A3 Roman numeral C. We could discuss other things that aren't ready for public consumption yet. So I'll stop my commissioner's report there. Do you want to give yours?
Just that I will follow up with Jennifer Scully this week and pin down exactly. I said on or about April 1st, which is a Monday.
Yep.
So this week, I guess my intention is let's get her to commit to a exact start date so that we can be there to greet her and get her up to speed as quickly as possible. And as I seem to recall, she said she had experience. Well, we know she has experience with QuickBooks, but also QuickBooks payroll, but also taxes, quarterly taxes. So that may. But I want to validate that or confirm that, because when does our person who does the payroll taxes, when is she stepping away permanently?
She said she would do the April quarterly report,
Okay. So the next one is in June, right?
right? July, actually, for the...
July.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that was my biggest concern, and I will follow up with Jennifer on that. Also, I got to go back for the annual meeting. I forgot to bring it. I think there was a numbering or numbering issue in our warrant articles that Doug pointed out to me. I'll go back and look at that and get back to everybody on that. It's not a big issue. It's something that can be corrected on the floor by just saying this article number is really number this versus number that.
I sent Bob the two ordinances.
Two ordinances, yeah.
And we also got a call from Gloria Aspinall about the warrant article about pond level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was satisfied to hear that the proposed ordinance is more proactive than the ordinance that was voted in last year. And I think you might want to speak about that in a few
Yes,
minutes. Not right now,
Okay.
but you can speak about that in a few minutes. I just need to see if you're finished with yours.
Yes, I'm done.
Okay? Do you have anything this week?
The annual meeting is Saturday, so there's a couple of things that we know we're gonna have to move to change some numbers. We know that the original
Budget numbers?
number on the warrant is incorrect. The last update did not get in before the warrant got printed and posted. So we know we're gonna have to have something for Bob, hopefully, to change that number from the 7 whatever it is to reduce it a little bit. And then there are a couple of things that I think we might want to possibly increase a little bit with where we're at. We know we're gonna have to do some cybersecurity stuff. We know there's, you know, things that are gonna be out of our control, really, but if we have to hire a company to work with the computers to get everything back working properly and everything set and secured, we don't have funds in the budgets for that. So I just wanted to say, well, what are you guys thinking? Do we want to have an amendment that increases, and it would probably be under office administration area, because that's where the computers are, and we don't know the numbers, and that's the scary thing, is we don't know how much this is going to cost. We've heard as high as $25,000 a month. Now, I know we're not gonna do something like that, but we might wanna be ready with some number that we want to add or increase on one of the budget lines, to make sure that we can get some of this done this year. So that was as much of a question as anything else, but that's what I
Okay.
was wondering.
I think this is discussion, some of the nuts and bolts maybe in a non-public.
Yes. Yeah, it's a tough situation that this happened after we went through the budget hearings and posted the warrant. Now the number's supposed to be fixed.
Right,
And now we're going to the annual meeting and saying what? We know that we're gonna have expenses of some number, so we want you to approve more money than we've done through the legal process of posting it. And we have no idea how much that money is. So, that's not so good.
No,
right,
But
right, but I would think we would wanna give at least some
we want to come up with some reasonable figure.
reasonable figure to at least get through getting things working properly. You know, I don't see some of the other things like a full IT, you know, or something. Like I said, there's a company that we know that said they're spending $25,000 a month to keep their ITs and
That's a
keep
big,
everything.
big company.
You know, it is a big company. So, but we might want to raise the overall budget a little bit. There is some room in there anyway.
Yeah.
And we know that. But we don't want to keep everything so tight that we're questioning whether or not the DPW is going to be fine to re-gravel 3 or 4 roads or however the big ditching and stuff gets done. We want them to be able to do everything they need to do.
Yeah, we don't want to shift around monies too much. We
Right.
need to increase. Okay. All right.
yeah, we won't have a reasonable number before Saturday.
Correct.
If we don't discuss it now, then it won't get discussed.
Right. Which is,
So we just have to explain the situation. It's gonna be, I think when you're in a situation like that, you have people realize that nobody can say what's needed today, at the time that they're making their decision on Saturday, what they're approving. So the likelihood of us going over budget is high based on what's not known on Saturday, which
Right.
we don't know coming into Saturday.
right.
So we can explain it and see what they like to do, because they get to decide what that number is
Right.
with their vote.
Right, we don't want to come in over budget, but if they approve let's say we come up with a reasonable, based on best known intelligence estimate as to what this is going to cost, if they approve it, and the objective is to come in on under budget.
Mm-hmm.
And to get, Nancy was using the $25,000 a month number. That's been told to us by someone describing an accounting firm that has 14 computers on a network and has to protect social security numbers and financial information.
And hundreds of
And
clients.
it probably has a whopping
Right.
cybersecurity insurance policy to cover that, needs to pay a consulting firm in order to qualify for the insurance company, is the way it was explained to me by another party.
Okay.
So that's not the number we'll be throwing out
Yeah,
at the
no,
annual meeting.
no,
We
it
won't
wouldn't be
saying that at the
anything.
annual meeting.
Yeah, no, that number would be way high.
Let's
need to-
just use it as an example of what the range could possibly be.
We just need our
Right.
bank accounts protected and our employees protected and,
And I hope to get information in my meeting with the bank this afternoon, when I ask about the fraud, more details about what goes on at their end and what they expect and what their customers do in this regard. And I might have a number, and I won't be able to talk to you unless we have a meeting about this, which we could do between now and Saturday. We have a posted running meeting as we deal with this issue.
for the emergency.
Well,
yeah.
we put it in the minutes and then announce it, so, if I've learned something this afternoon, then we will make that part of a meeting that we have at the office, which is we'll post it and take minutes of it, and the public can come in and listen to us talk about that if they would like.
Okay.
And for Saturday, you're gonna do the pond level ordinance?
Speak to it at the
For
meeting?
speaking to it at the annual meeting?
No,
No?
No, I'm doing the summit.
Oh, you're doing the summit.
the
Cabana.
cabana.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll do the pond, because I wrote it.
Okay. Green space,
I wrote that too, so I can do that.
okay. I can do the water budget, cause we don't have, thankfully, we don't have a huge warrant.
Would you say 7 articles? How many articles are there, do we know?
7?
Yeah?
I forgot.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
Yeah, there's not that many.
Yeah, there's not many. And then who wants to do the primary,
She's looking at you when she.
primary budget?
I'll do that.
You wanna do the primary budget?
I'll do that.
Okay. And I was kinda hoping Bob might be here. I don't have the number for how many people, we had last year, so I can get in touch with Bob Ingram, so that we know how many ballots we should have available and how many copies of the warrant for people coming in, you know, the handouts.
Right.
So the ballot doesn't have 12 warrant articles so can we
No.
print 2 on each colored piece of paper and cut them? Because they're usually half slips anyway, folded or, this is what they hold in their hand and raise?
That's the secret ballots,
Yes,
but we need the
the
actual.
paper ballot, the white ones.
Paper ballots for the, anybody that comes in and votes, and there are people that will come in, vote, and not hang out for the rest of the meeting.
Yep.
You know, so,
And speak about voting, me as also village clerk, I need to be in the office from 3 to 5 this Friday. For last minute, people want to submit an absentee ballot. So I don't know what the manning levels of the office are going to be this week, since we do not have an administrator. But I believe that the village clerk has to be there from 3 to 5.
And we will be setting up at the town hall, the Noyes Gym
School. Yeah,
That
on
afternoon.
Friday.
Friday. Bob wanted to do it Friday, so we'll do it Friday afternoon.
And Doug and Mindy are going to be there also to help set up.
Oh, sweet.
Right. And Doug, I'll talk to him today, but as deputy village clerk, he'll be the one taking the minutes on Saturday.
Good.
And so Wednesday, I'm thinking I'll run up to Staples to get the secret ballots printed on colored paper, to get the voting box ballots, the officers
Mm-hmm.
done, and the handout will be the warrant itself with the warrant articles, the Excel spreadsheet of the budget, and the green space ordinance and the pond level ordinance. that'll be the handout.
Is there anything for the, is there a handout that goes with the cabana?
It's all in the warrant itself.
It's just in the
It's all
warrant,
the-
right?
I'm trying to put together a PowerPoint, a short PowerPoint presentation with some nice pictures to present when I talk about that.
Okay.
Which I'll give to Bob.
Okay.
Doug Prescott made 3 slides, one for green space, and he has the statistics of how many lots are in the Como zone. He even did how many lots are in Idlewise, how many wells there are in Idlewise total, and how many
Yeah.
are in the Como zone.
He showed that.
So he did a lot of data research.
Yeah.
And he has 2 slides for, 2 slides for the Como zone and 1 slide for green space. He has the number of lots that Idlewise owns and how many Madison owns. Like Madison still owns 8 lots in Idlewise. So this slide's already made by him for that, which is really good.
So, on the green space, I know you're gonna do this, you didn't forget, but you'll recall, you gave me a call the day after the budget hearing, and to say that, you know, Carrie asked a question and I didn't answer her correctly, and then you
Yes.
told me, this is how I should have answered it, and when I
The-
heard your
the
answer, I
emphasis
said,
was
that
on-
makes, yes, I said, that makes total sense to me as to what the purpose.
Yes.
Yes,
Here's what he's talking about is, at the budget hearing, Kerry asked, how is this really protecting green space? And the way it's protecting green space is, none of these lots can sell. The first step is, the annual meeting has to have a majority of people vote for it. If you get by that, then it wasn't a lot that the people of Idlewise decided wasn't necessarily needed to stay green space. And I started to focus on the fact that you can't just build a house on it once you buy. You have to merge it with your existing lot. It's only sold to people who have existing lots. They have to abut it. And then it's merged and you could expand onto it, but you can't put a new septic system in a standalone house. Because it's merged and you don't have enough land according to our zoning regulations. So I will be emphasizing that the first step is, it takes it out of the hands of a board of commissioners going forward. It takes a vote of the legislative body at an annual meeting to approve the acquisition of a budding lot to an existing Idlewise property owner only, to be merged as green space, where they're now paying a little bit of tax to own that on a greater lot that they.
so if I were to want to buy an abutting lot to my property, would I have to submit a warrant article requesting that? And then it has to be approved by the VDOE voters?
You will be filling in a form and attaching a check for $75 to it. And it will go to the office, and there's a window of when you do that. I believe it's the month before the annual meeting. Then the commissioners put it on the warrant. And if the voters approve you buying the lot, and it goes into competition with the other abutters, the $75 is used to do certified mail to the other abutters of that lot. Now you're in a competitive bid for a lot that you identified as one that you wanted to buy. Your neighbors could decide, I want to bid more than he's going to bid on it to own it myself.
Right.
Then if you do win it, then you have to merge it with your lot.
Well, wait a minute, if let's say I win it, let's say I'm the high bidder, it still has to be voted in, it has to be approved by the voters of VDOE for that to move forward,
Before the bidding even happens.
or before the bidding even happens.
The voters are just saying, looking at the green space, the lot that has been applied for. The question to them is, do you want to let this go to bid? With the person that filed the form, here's the abutter that's starting this. Here are the other abutters to this lot. They're gonna get an opportunity by registered mail to compete to own that lot. So you don't know
Gotcha.
who's gonna own it necessarily.
Gotcha, so if the voters approved, yeah, let's go ahead and sell that lot, then you could go into the bidding process and the high bidder gets it and everything moves.
With a minimum bid of the assessed value by the
Assessed
town.
Okay, got it. But that was the key to me, that it's in the voters' hands as to whether
That's the key.
this lot
The
can
emphasis
get
is
sold
on
or not.
It's the voters that decide whether any of this happens.
Right.
Mhm.
And if they
They
thumbs
could
down,
say, we're never gonna let this happen anywhere.
yeah,
That's their choice.
cool.
Then it's green space.
Yep, stays green space, no bidding.
Another thing is that not only is it green space, but technology advances, and it may be a situation that we want these lots to do things for the village. And the thing that comes to mind is, we have a problem with interference with the control system for the water system, having to travel, radio signals traveling distances, and it could be conditions that make it questionable as to whether it's having to repeat signals to make it work. What I'm getting at is, we could want to use lots to put repeaters for communication systems that wouldn't be obvious to the eye, but we would need strategic locations where we're able to bring power and
Yeah.
have a little device on a lot. Or not, who knows, but there's other reasons that the village may want to not sell lots to
Sure,
others.
sure, makes sense.
So I think it's a big obstacle to get by the voters.
Yeah,
And
and
they get to speak on it and deliberate, and
It's in
it's
their
not
hands.
not a deal done by two commissioners.
Right.
got it, yep. Which it was once in danger of. Okay,
We all set? We ready for public comments?
Yep, that was my thing.
Floor is yours, Gloria.
Yes. Well, I'm here today to discuss Article 6, it's on the warrant, and I know you'll be speaking about that on Saturday, Mark, and I talked to you the other day. What I'm here for right now is your permission, because you have seen this, of the summary, information that I put together last September regarding being proactive for the, to control the water level. So with your permission, I'd like to give you a copy, you already have a copy, one to Nancy and one to Woody, on my concerns of the level of the pond and how it affects the water level at my property.
What did you think about the ordinance that's going to be voted on?
Yes, so this is why I'd like to give my input so that you folks can address my concerns to the public on Saturday. There's a couple of things that I wanted assurance that we would be getting back to giving the commissioners and the authority, rather than waiting until there's an emergency and having Mike Brooks step in. I hope the commissioners speak to that point, that they have the authority to work with the DPW to pull aboard when there is an emergency or before the emergency and be proactive.
And the new draft says that.
Well,
Not only does it say it, it refers
I'd like to have you
to,
present that from the floor
yep,
on Saturday, giving me that assurance.
it'll be on the displayed ordinance that everybody's going to be reading
Yes,
before they
yes.
vote on it.
Okay. May I give you the,
Sure.
you've seen this copy, but I did make one for
Sure.
Nancy and Woody also, voicing my
He
concern.
pronounces his name Wooda.
Yeah.
Would I?
Would
That's
I?
my name,
Oh,
yes.
oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I wrote down Woody, I'm sorry. My hearing isn't that great anymore. But anyway, if you would kind of,
Are you going to speak to this also, or are you
well,
rather not?
I can, if I.
Yes.
But I'm sure that you'll do the best for the district, I mean, and that's what I came
That's
here
why we
for.
drafted it and
Yes,
they
yeah.
approved
But
it.
this is a copy of the memo that I gave the commissioners back in
Yep.
September. I kept bringing it up, and they said it'll be, discussed at the annual meeting. And I thank you.
No problem. So I'd like to make a motion that we go into non-public session under RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2, little c.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote. Nancy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Wood, how do you vote?
Aye.
I vote also, I also. So we'll go into non-public session. Thank you. Carol.
Thank you all.